So you've figured out that your adrenals, or someone else helped you figure out that your adrenals are really in some deep trouble. They're causing you a lot of problems. You may have pain, you may have rashes, you may have allergies, you may have recurrent infections, you've got low energy, you've got brain fog, you've got migraines or headaches, you've got multiple areas that are in pain. They even told you you have fibromyalgia. This is just a start of the full range of problems that adrenals can be underlying and a key part of, and which you will not get better if you don't fix them. Well, I've already been to 6 doctors. They told me my adrenals were weak. I've got a whole shelf in my kitchen at home full of supplements I took to supposedly fix my adrenals, and I never really got better. So was the theory wrong, or they didn't know what they were doing? How come it never really got the job done? And the answer is, some things you'd like to be simple, and some things have more than one part to them, and you've got to be able to deal with more than one thing. A supplement alone typically will not be enough to fix a person whose adrenals are shot. Let me repeat that. A nutritional supplement alone typically will not be enough to fix your bummed out, trashed adrenal glands. It takes more. And the more is, you've got to understand what causes the problem so you can fix the causes. So if you want to make your adrenals strong, maybe you've got pain, maybe you've got brain fog, maybe you've got headaches, maybe you've got a bunch of things that are all wrong, and it's even coupled with the fact that you've got bad cholesterol and clogged arteries, and these things are all tied together. You say, how could that be? Well, let's see if we can try to, in just a few minutes, tie it all together for you. Adrenals originally were discovered to be the stress-relating organs of the body, and they discovered that animals or humans who were mentally and emotionally stressed out, their adrenals would try to rise to the occasion and then crash and burn and get exhausted. And so the first thing we identified was emotional stress, and that is one way, not the only way, that you can trash your adrenal glands. So if you're in a really bad relationship, you've got a terrible thing going on in your family, at your job, in some key aspect of your life. Often it's a person with a name that is causing you a lot of stress. You may not get complete response from your adrenals if you don't fix that underlying problem. So in this particular talk, we're looking at how do we get to underlying aspects of the adrenals and bring them into a correct kind of attitude and position that the adrenals can heal and will heal. I tend to look at adrenals as a balance point, your adrenal health, of how the things that are helping the adrenals are doing in a balance point to how things are hurting, the things that are hurting your adrenals. When your adrenals are trashed, the harmers are winning and the helpers are losing. And we've got to be able to shift that balance point to where the helpers are winning and the harmers of your adrenal function are losing. We talked about one of them now, which is getting a handle on your mental, emotional, spiritual stress. That wasn't an exhaustive, that's a big subject, so there's no way we can exhaust discussing it in a minute. Another stress factor for the adrenals is your eating. Why? Because adrenals regulate blood sugar. They get shot when you eat too many sugar or carbs. What are carbs? Things like bread, grains, certain root vegetables like potatoes. Things that are high in carbohydrate, and especially the kind of carbohydrates I just named, are actually sugars. They're just chains of sugar. And when you eat them, they go into your blood as sugar, unless you know certain rules that you can slow them up a bit, and that will throw your adrenals into the trash can. Too much sugar, too many carbs will change your entire glandular metabolism, and one of the key bad effects will be your adrenals getting trashed. That's another stress factor. So you've got to actually learn how to get your eating in order. You only can eat a certain amount of carbs. Many approaches now limit carbs, up to and including keto and diets where you have almost no carbohydrate intake. You don't necessarily have to get that extreme to get your adrenals well, but you have to be able to limit carbohydrate intake to a reasonable amount. In a system that I use very frequently for decades with my patients with success and myself, is you don't get more carbs at a meal than the equivalent of one slice of bread. So if you even go and eat a hamburger, you don't get to eat both buns. You don't eat your way through 3/4 of a pizza and eat the equivalent of 4 slices of bread. It's too much carb. And what is it? Bread, white rice, potatoes, grains like that arrive as sugar in your bloodstream as fast virtually as eating white sugar right out of the bowl. That's a surprise for most people. We never thought that. Even whole grain breads arrive almost as fast as eating sugar right out of the bowl. So you have to limit it. You also have to know that when you eat protein with carbs, you slow up the arrival of carbs. It pays to have protein in your diet and even make the first bite a protein bite and then limit the amount of carbs. One rule that you can employ for animal proteins is the protein portion should be about the size of the palm of your hand. If it's fish, which is very good for you, sea fish, up to the first knuckle. That's the actual portion that works very, very well for being adequate protein and not too much protein. Too much protein will also create problems in many instances too. Mental and emotional, blood sugar. Now, one other thing with blood sugar that's worth mentioning is that it's been thought that when your cholesterol's out of range, and now they say your arteries are plaqued up, maybe they already put a stent in your body and they put a little spring in your arteries to try to open it up where it was clogged because it's going to kill you that your arteries are clogged. You can get a heart attack, you can get a stroke. The #1 killers in the world, heart attack and stroke, are caused by clogged arteries. And they say, well, if that's made of cholesterol, why don't we figure it out the way we did in the 1950s? We'll stop eating butter and eggs and meat, and the world will be a wonderful place and we will see world peace. Well, it didn't work. People actually followed that approach of reducing their protein intake. No meat, no eggs, no butter, no dairy, limiting fats, and discovered that their cholesterol went higher, they got fatter, heart attacks became more, not less, strokes became greater, not less. Why? Because your body builds cholesterol out of carbohydrate. You don't have to eat cholesterol to have high cholesterol. In fact, you can eat no cholesterol and have super high cholesterol because your body will make it out of sugar, and sugar comes directly from sugar and carbs. So it's the same thing that can help you save your adrenals will help you save your life. If you are eating foods that make your body produce insulin after you ate, you are creating a problem. You may be getting fatter, you certainly will be getting less healthy, you certainly will be trashing your adrenals, and you certainly will be ruining your arterial system and setting yourself up for early death. Pain is a factor that stresses out the adrenal glands. Pain can come from pinched nerves. We bang ourselves around. The average kid has banged his head 1,000 times, it said, by the time he reaches 18. People have neck injuries. They've been in sports injuries. They've had car accidents. They've hurt their spine. They've lifted wrong. They've injured discs. They've sprained a shoulder. They've twisted a knee on a ski slope. They've misstepped and hurt an ankle. Pain is a stress factor, and it is one of the things that you have to add together for all the stressors that affect the adrenals. So let's just cover the 3 things we came, and this isn't an exhaustive list of everything that stresses adrenals, but 3 of the major ones, which include mental and emotional stress, blood sugar stress, and pain-related joint stress, which you really need someone who knows how to fix joints. They've got to be able to fix an ankle. They've got to be able to fix a wrist. They've got to be able to fix a shoulder. They've got to be able to fix your neck. Fix the bone that's out of place at the base of your skull, the one in between your shoulder blades that may hurt because your blood sugars and adrenals are out of whack, and now you've got mid-back pain. You have to fix the causes of things. If you can take away the harmers, reduce them, or bring them to 0 or lesser, and bring up the helpers, so the helpers are winning and the harmers are losing, there's your recipe for strengthening your adrenals for good and for the long haul.